Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Wednesday Namaste experience. So happy you could all join us. We're going to be having a special guest with me here this morning, Reverend Eliza, who most of you have already met. She's an extraordinary Unity teacher and minister and has been getting rave reviews for her Sunday lessons. So we're going to be bringing her and her husband on during the week now and then as well. So take full advantage of their wisdom and insight and joy and passion. So welcome to all of you. We have some special guests here at Namaste Village, and of course, everyone here in our Zoom room and watching on YouTube and wherever you may be, you are part of this experience. So Liza, why don't you come on up? Let's have you just join me, and I'm going to share something in a moment, but anything you want to say as we begin?
Well, good morning, James.
We turn this on for you.
Okay.
There you go.
Good morning, James.
Good morning.
Good morning, Namaste, and good morning, Zoom. I know I have some friends there out there in the Zoom world too. So yeah, I'm just thrilled to be here. This has been such a great experience and hanging out with you. And I asked James a few minutes ago, he said, we're on for today, right? And I said, yes, absolutely. And he heads up, he says, nope. I said, okay, here we go.
Yeah, I want Eliza to experience what I'm about to share with everyone, because I want to start off with a quote from a particular teacher, and you just listen and absorb this, and you as well. And if you know who said this, don't say it out loud quite at the beginning, but at some point I'm going to see who can figure out. I'm going to let you try first, see if you can figure out who said this. But this is something that I came across, and it struck me in its revealing of how we use our mind and how we use that mind to not access the whole mind. We use our limited split mind as a defense so that we don't come into full bloom with our wholeness. Okay? So once again, let me read this quote and then we'll see who can figure it out. Here it is. Humans consider themselves unique, so they've rooted their whole theory of existence on their uniqueness. Now, we may say specialness. That seems to be a definition of specialness. So once again, humans consider themselves unique, so they've rooted their whole theory of existence on their uniqueness. All social systems we've put into place are a mere sketch. Every social system is a mere sketch. 1 + 1 = 2. That's all we've learned. But 1 + 1 has never equaled 2. There are, in fact, no numbers and no letters. We've codified our existence. This is the important part. We've codified our existence to bring it down to a human size, to make it comprehensible. We've created a limited scale so that we can forget its unfathomable scale. Let me read that last sentence again. We've created a limited scale so that we can forget its unfathomable scale. Just how huge reality is, how unlimited, eternal reality is. So that's the quote. I don't know what that noise is. Do you see something?
Is it me?
Let's try this one. So I'll start with you, Eliza. First of all, what do you think of that? Any thoughts come to you from talking about how we limit everything? We think that 1 + 1 = 2. We think that it's a constant in the universe, but what this person is saying.
I think it's you, James.
We'll see if it stops. It is me. So we'll both use this. Okay. We've codified our existence. 1 + 1 is never equal 2. There are no numbers, there are no letters. We've created a limited scale so that we don't have to deal with the unfathomably eternal scale of heaven. What does that bring up for you? Mind blow.
Like just mind blow. But I love it because, excuse me, because what I know, what I'm working on is every time my mind's blown, I'm a little closer to the eternal.
Yes.
Because the only thing that I know for sure is everything we think is a limitation. And everything we feel and experience can free us from that limitation.
Yes.
But there's a lot in that quote, and I have no idea who said it.
No idea.
I have no idea.
I think you're going to be surprised when I do tell you.
It might be James Twyman.
No, it's not me. Not me. I wouldn't do that to you. Before we even go on, does anyone have any idea who said that?
Robert Adams.
Who'd you say?
Robert Adams.
Robert Adams. I'm not even sure who Robert Adams is,
Really?
but no.
Really?
No, I don't.
Einstein.
Einstein? Good answers. Okay, your only clue is that it's a woman. That's your only clue. All right, you ready? Her name is Lucy. This is from the movie Lucy. How many of you have seen the movie Lucy?
No, but I've heard about it.
Okay, let me tell you about the movie Lucy, and then I'll read it again. So when you know who said this, it'll make more sense. Lucy is an amazing movie. I watched it again last night. I've seen it many times. But the movie Lucy is basically about a woman who is able to progressively access 100% of her mind. Scientists say that the typical human being is only able to access roughly 15% of the brain's capacity. And then it talks about what would things be like if we accessed 20%? What would things be like if we were able to access 25 or 30% of the actual ability of the human brain? Well, if we were to access 20%, we would have complete control of our body. Every part of our body, every system, we would be in full control. If we had 30% access, then we would be able to control the minds and the bodies of other people, and on and on and on. And then even in the movie, they ask this professor, what would it be like if someone were to be able to access 100%? He says, of this, we cannot even consider. We cannot even begin to go there. We have no idea. It is so beyond the scale, off the charts, that there's no way to even begin to know. And Lucy is someone through some, we won't go into how she did it, but it was kind of forced upon her, but she progressively keeps accessing more and more and more. And then it comes back to the only thing that's important then is to pass on, to extend, to give back, to give what she has learned. Now, if we were to shift this just ever so slightly and say that, okay, so in the movie, she's able to access 100% of her brain or her mind. What if we were to be able to access 100% of our mind with a capital M, with our whole, in other words, to enter into a state of wholeness, of completion, that is so far beyond this world that the world literally disappears. So I'm going to turn back to you, Eliza. What does that begin, just that idea, the possibility, and I would say even beyond the possibility, that's why we're here. We can't do it in our brain, but there's something else within us that is ready to jump to that experience, wholeness.
Yes. So I don't know how much you know about me, but this is so in my alley.
Good. I had a feeling.
I had a feeling. Yes. Yes. So yes is the first thought. And we teach and we talk about and we yearn for and we strive for oneness, but that's backwards. We're already one. And when we can quantum leap is my word, right? Quantum leap beyond or under or around or disengage from the logical thinking, subconscious humanity mind, then we access that point of divinity, that point of infinite, that point of essence, and there is no mind there. I mean, divine mind, maybe, but no personality mind. And when we enter, like you go, right? If you can follow that around.
Wow. Can you say that one more time so
Yeah.
we can make sure we get it?
You know, some people speak light language, right? I speak language. But when we enter that place, what we access is new humanity, right? What we access is the point of oneness, and that's not the end all, that's the beginning. And when we land there, everything in this reality, small r, relative world disappears, and we land in love and kindness and compassion and innovation and beauty and creativity and expansiveness. And that's where I hang out in my global consciousness group. We hang out there, and it's brilliantly beautiful. And it's not about ignoring what's happening on the planet, but it's about transcending it, really. And then from oneness, the next step is this allness, where everything individual disappears for this greater, expansive, rich, exquisite experience of all.
Yeah. My favorite line in this quote is that we've created a limited scale. We've limited everything so that we can forget about the unfathomable scale. We've tried to narrow it down. We want to narrow down reality so that we can relate to it on an individual split level, split off from the all, thinking that I can understand it better if I isolate. And this is what the ego and the human mind is so adept at. Isolation, right? So how can I now, like Lucy, be skyrocketed out of that experience as we begin to access more and more and more of our whole mind, not just our mental capacity, but the wholeness of our reality, until we get to that point of 100%. And like in the movie, when that happens, she just disappears. She's just gone. But something else remains. In the movie, she holds out this supercomputer that she's turned into, holds out a little memory stick to Morgan Freeman that contains the whole thing. She's passed it on now. And this is really what we're doing here every day. We are allowing that, a glimpse of that whole experience to be known, to be felt, and then to be shared, whether it be here live or later on YouTube or whatever it may be. But there is a spark that extends from each one of us. And we do this collectively and we do it individually, but all we're really doing is sparking higher and higher and higher frequencies as we allow ourselves to relax and allow that unfathomable scale to take hold of us.
You know, one of the things that's occurring to me is the reason, if you can say that we do what we do, it keeps us safe and in control.
Yes.
But the truth is, we're more safe. What is the course line? In my defenselessness lies
safety.
my safety, right? Or in however that is, yes. So
Yeah.
I have sort of an
If I
essence.
defend myself, I must be attacked, literally.
Right.
If I'm defending myself, then the attack will come. But if I'm completely defenseless, that's where safety
That's
is.
where safety lies. And that's in our surrender of our control, of our limits, of what we think, of what we feel, of our opinions, all of that stuff. That surrender of that is actually the doorway. And as you land in that, the surrender happens. It's a infinity sort of cycle. It's not one before the other, they happen. But in that, as soon as you touch that space of the unfathomable, most of us will go, whoa. And then there'll be a part of our ego that'll go, whoa. And we'll shut that right down because it's unfathomable. It doesn't fit inside any construct we
Yes.
have, which is the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But the liberation, if we keep moving, if we feel that fear, don't push it away, because it is going to come up. I always say that the thing that we are most afraid of, we could say would be that instant of recognition of the unfathomable nature of reality. Or we could just make it simple and say that the thing that we are most afraid of is that face-to-face with God. The moment we are face-to-face with the reality of the divine. I won't go into my whole Santa Claus story because most of you have heard it again, but it is the best. Should I?
Yeah, wait, I haven't heard it.
Some of you haven't heard it. Okay.
Have I heard it?
Vicky, probably not. Vicky has heard this 100 times, but maybe many of you have not heard it. So I'll go ahead and this is a description of how we say we want spirituality, we want an experience of our oneness with God, but it's only when we come face to face with that does that primordial fear, the thing we are most afraid of, only then does it fully surface right in our face. So this is a story. My daughter is 36 now, so this is over 30 years ago. She must have been 3, maybe. I would say around 3. And we were in Chicago. It was Christmas time, and I had a friend who managed a small department store, and on weekends, Santa Claus would be there for the kids. And on a particular day, whoever it was that was dressed up as Santa couldn't make it. It was kind of an emergency, so they asked me if I would dress up and be Santa. Now, I thought this was a great idea, especially since Angela, my daughter, all she could talk about was when she was going to go see Santa. All she could talk about was all the things that she was going to ask Santa for. And so it was all theoretical at this point when she saw Santa. So I thought, let's have her come to Daddy Santa. It'll be really fun. She can sit on my lap. We'll take some pictures. We'll look back on it years later, and it'll be really fun. So Linda, her mom, brought Angela to the department store, and I could see the front door from where I was sitting. And when I saw them walk in, I stood up, and in my loudest Santa Claus voice, I said, "Ho, ho, ho, hello, Angela." And she freaked out. She started screaming at the top of her lungs, and she was not going to come another step. And when Linda would try and bring her closer, she would scream all the louder. And she had her head buried in her mom's stomach, so she couldn't see me. So I don't know if this was psychologically the best move, but I went to her, and she didn't see me coming. So when she looks up, I'm kneeling right in front of her face, right? The face to face. Now remember, this is the only thing she could talk about when she could finally see Santa. And it was only then that she realized it was true. He really had been watching her. He really had been making a list and checking it twice. He knew everything, right? And it was only then that that fear surfaced. But what I did, I just tried to get her to look at me for an instant. And when she finally did, I pulled the beard down and I said, "Angela, it's just Daddy." You can imagine what happened. Her little brain just kind of wobbled. She wasn't sure what to do with that. But then after only a few seconds, you could see her relax. It's just Daddy. There's no need to be afraid. Now, that's what I'm talking about in the face-to-face with the divine. We say that that's the only thing we want. We say that all we want is to experience our oneness with everything, including the divine. But it's only when we have that face-to-face that we deal with the fact that we have limited the unfathomable nature of God, tried to contain it, tried to use definitions and concepts to limit it. And it's only when we come to the point where we're in a direct experience. We talk about the direct experience every day. It's only when that hits us that primordial fear surfaces and we have a choice. Either run back into perception, run back into concepts, or hold still until the beard comes down, until the concept is released and we realize it's just daddy. That plays into this beautifully because this really is the jump from conceptual experience to direct experience of the divine.
Whew, that's a great story. May I use it?
Oh, sure.
I won't use it on Sunday, though. Not this week.
Not if they're kids.
Not if there's kids. Yeah, so true. And I think another sort of aspect of that is when we're faced with the divine, when we're faced with that unfathomable, one of the other fears is that we will disappear. And isn't that the best news ever? But it's not that we're obliterated. How do you say that word? Obliterated. That's not it. A blib.
A blib.
You know what I'm talking about.
So we're nothing but a blib.
But it's actually that we're freed
That's
into
right.
the essence of who we are. But I think that's a fear that comes up, to people I work a lot. It's like you come so close and it's like, oh, that could never be. And they back off away from that. So that lowering, stay there till the lowering of the beard is such a great visual, right? That we can all lean in.
It's just daddy.
And just look at my eyes. Just look at my eyes. Look at me, whatever that is in the moment.
It's like in A Course in Miracles when Jesus says, forgive me your concepts of me.
Yeah.
A savior is one who is willing even to take upon your concepts, however untrue they may be, but willing to take them on and say, if that helps you, if forgiving me your concepts of me helps to free you, do it. I'm fine with that. That's what a savior does, because a savior knows that no concept, no separating concept is real, and therefore is willing to take them all on, not separate individual concepts, but to take on the conceptual universe. And that's the moment we hit 100%. Wholeness, whole-mindedness. Now, I'm going to recommend, if you haven't, go watch the movie Lucy. I'm going to recommend that to everyone except Vicky, because Vicky only likes Disney movies and Hallmark movies, and I don't think that's going to work for her. But Vicky, I would love to hear, and Teddy, I'd love to hear what you think of this lesson on whole-mindedness, because I'm sure you have a lot to say about that.
All right, we'll keep it quick though. So at first I thought it was Jean Houston. It's something that she might say. And if we start backwards, the way Eliza had said it, we would start from just giving. Giving would be the way to start, without any kind of filters. Just be a giving, a state of giving. But the key is, there's a good line in the Course that says, future loss is not your fear, but present joining is your dread. Because when we want to access and see the face of God, all we have to do is really be with one another. Not with the physical eyes, although those can focus there. It's the real joining that brings us into that spaciousness. And that spaciousness dissolves all the ego barriers. Jesus says it's all about the authority problem, our independence, our sense of wanting to be in control. It falls away by grace. It falls away because the attraction of what we already are finally comes into our awareness and draws us in. And the way we start is relational. That's why the Course is written as the Course in Relationship. In relationship, because we're not isolated and alone, when we really be with one another without any conditions, no matter what, in that state of openness and I don't know, I'm just here, and not waver in that presence and present attention, that spaciousness opens up as a field of joy. And I think, or I feel, that's one of the signs that I recognize that seems to happen. And we're always available to do that. And it isn't about just joining with people, it's joining with wherever we find ourselves, in a garden, with a bird, with it's the present dropping of our exterior boundaries and our just state of being that invites that face of God to come into focus in everything, in all of creation, but certainly with our brothers. When, like you started, when we don't defend ourselves, and all defending is keeping a definition, a boundary, a control. And it's getting used to living in the I don't know and being here. I'm just here. Whatever you are, I'm here.
I am here. Three most powerful words in the universe. And I'm glad you spoke about relationships. And I'll say a quick thing about that. Yesterday, something came in the mail that you guys sent here, I don't know, probably a month and a half ago. That's what happens when you use the US mail to send something to Mexico. We finally received this amazing book that Teddy and Vicky put together. Do you have a copy of it there? Yes. It's called Helen's Notes, and these are the actual transcriptions with the personal information that Helen Schuckman wrote down in shorthand when she was having this conversation with what they were just calling at that time the voice. She knew that it was the presence of Jesus or the Christ, or however you want to define that. But it's amazing. I started reading it last night, how intimate the conversation and the relationship is. He's talking to her about what might be seen as very mundane things. And he'll say things like, well, why are you still doing that? Come on, really? And and we read something like A Course in Miracles, and it seems so heavy and so deep. But when you read the actual transcription of the notes as Helen's writing it out, it sounds like just a loving brother who's in relationship with Helen, just guiding her and saying, just keep turning to me. Just keep asking me for help. That's all you need to do. I'm right beside you. I'm right inside you. Just keep turning to me. And it's, I think, a lesson to all of us, really, that it's always present. And in Jesus and people like Jesus, I guess you could say we're like Lucy. They are simply our brothers and our sisters who have come to that state of wholeness, of whole-mindedness, but they don't just leave. It's always still about giving back. Like in the movie when Lucy holds out the little thumb drive that has everything on it. That's what the Christ is doing for us right now, always holding out that divine thumb drive, saying, just insert this, open it, live it, use it, and you'll see just how easy this is. So Teddy, thank you so much for the books, to both of you. I'm loving them. And for those of you who live at Namaste, there is a copy over here on the table in the living room. So what would you like to share, Teddy?
Well, first, somebody asked where they can get the book, and it's on Amazon. So just go to Amazon and look for the book. The other thing I was going to say, when you first started that quote, with the word humans, it really did sound like the master teacher, because he loved, and when the word human came out of his mouth, it was like spitting.
You had to know him to understand.
But, my thought about that was, it's total whole, immediate communication, extending eternally and infinitely. Like, there is nothing to say. It's just communication. And that's what reality is. Just pure communication, not communicating something, just communication. And that's what we really are. We're just communication. We're God's communication, and we communicate as well. And that's it, period. The other thing was, I don't know where this came from. So after yesterday, all night long, all I did was get this guidance and direction as to how we should do session and just how we could do it, jumping up and down the whole thing and communicating through Zoom or whatever. And it was just amazing that, like, every time I had a reason for not doing it or thinking it wouldn't work, I would just get shown how it could only work and how we could do it. So it was just interesting that that came up it was a dream state, but it was definitely being a guided dream about how around the world we could enter into that moment together wholly and perfectly and bring everybody up into that the way it used to happen in session. So it was, I don't know where it came from or why. All I know is it's possible. That's all I can say.
Well, I want to hear about it. Maybe we can chat later. But what Teddy's referring to, if you're not aware, as I said yesterday, some of us here had lived together in a community in Wisconsin many years ago. That was the master teacher who he was referring to. And there was a vortex of energy that was so strong. It's like you couldn't be in the room without being pulled into it. Even if you start off looking around thinking, what the hell is going on here with these people, these crazy, suddenly you're pulled in and it was so powerful and so out of this world experience. It was a true experience. And I've often asked myself that question, is it possible in this context to be able to welcome that energy? I wasn't going to say created because it's already created, but to welcome that vortex, to welcome that the lifting. It's like a bird that suddenly catches the updraft, and then it's just lifted higher and higher and higher. There's no effort involved. It just takes hold. So let's explore that. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing if we just had... Yeah, go ahead, Teddy.
I mean, I was just amazed that it was constant. It was like all night long. They just kept on showing me how to do it. And every objection I had, they had, a reason why my objection was wrong. Talking about session, when I was in Australia, there was a woman who started to come. And she swore, she said, I will never, ever fall down. I will never, ever end up on the floor in front of you. And she sat in back of me for 3 days. And on the third day, she shot up in the air and fell down right at my feet. And she had nothing. She had no idea. She swore she would never do that. But it happened.
Be careful what you swear you'll never do. Well, we'll explore that. And once again, there's nothing, I don't know how to say this. It's simply, I like that image of the updraft. When a bird or a parasailer, I don't know if you've ever been in a parasail. Is that what you call them, a parasail? And the whole idea is just to catch the updraft and be lifted without any effort into a higher experience, a higher frequency. And when that happens, you can't explain it. There are no words, there are no concepts. And maybe it's like Lucy just ascending in her openness to wholeness as she goes from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50%. That's what we're being called to do. We're being called to lift into that state of wholeness, of completion. So we'll explore that. Eliza, anything else you'd like to share?
Let's explore that quickly. We're here for 2 more weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, sounds brilliant. I love that idea of uplift too, because that's you're out of your personality and out of your mind and just in the experience of that.
Yeah.
That's right.
What we've never wanted this to be is personality driven. That's why I always want to invite others to share, so that it's not about me and it's not about any identity ultimately. It's about the release of all of that. And so just giving ourselves to that updraft.
The updraft is called the thermals, riding
The
the thermal.
riding the thermal. Wow. A thermal is heat, right?
Rising.
It's rising heat. Wow. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Get ready.
Very
Tell your friends. I don't know how it's gonna happen yet, but I can feel it coming. All right, thanks everybody. We're about out of time here, but Eliza, thank you so much for joining us. And either you or your husband are gonna be doing session tomorrow, is that right?
I think he's going to point to me. Are you going to point to me? Am I doing session tomorrow? I'll do session tomorrow.
Okay, so Eliza will be doing session tomorrow, and Vicki and Teddy, I'm going to chat with you later today. And I just want to say how much I love all of you and how grateful I am just to be part of this beautiful, beautiful experience, this updraft, this thermal lift. I'm just so grateful. And within that, let's go ahead and we will share our final prayer. So if you'd like to stand, you're welcome to. And here is, here we go. 1 second, we pull it up to the whole screen. There we go. Okay, here we go. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you, James.
Love
Thank you,
all of
Eliza. Thank you,
People
Vicki.
were
Teddy.
asking about
being
this.
with you every day.
Thanks to all of you. Namaste. And
Thank
namaste.
Bye-bye for now.
Hasta